Hello friends, welcome to the EPG Pathshala. Today we will study regional imbalances with reference to crime in India. I am Dr. Rupma Gautam and I teach law at University School of Law and Legal Studies, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, Delhi. The learning objectives of the present module are, firstly, to develop an understanding of the different types of crime committed in different parts of India. Secondly, to understand the frequency of crimes in different states of country. Thirdly, to understand the pattern of crime incidents in the country. And fourthly, to analyze the ranking of states based on events of crime and their interrelationship with the socio-economic development measured through Human Development Index or HDI. Lastly, the states are divided into 4 categories based on the number of cognizable crime committed, regional imbalances with reference to crime in India. We'll start by introducing crime. Now, crime as a social incident has always existed in the society since time immemorial. Crime is considered to be a legal wrong against the society and its well-being. Therefore, it becomes the duty of the state to curtail and control such incidences with the legally framed rules and the regulations, and also provide sanctions to these rules in the form of punishment. But the meaning and types of crimes are to differ in different societies, as the acts which are termed to be as crime are the behavior against the accepted values in a given society, and therefore it can be aptly said that the criminal law of a particular country at a given point of time is the reflection of the moral standards of the society. Therefore, crime cannot be given a standard and stable definition which suits all the societies in all times. Crime is a changing concept dependent upon the social development of people, that is, upon the fundamental interests and values determining their common beliefs. Crime, though essentially a social happening, doesn't differentiate between the urban and rural societies, as it exists in both the type of setups, but the factors that give rise to criminality have correlation with both urban and rural societies. Generally, the opportunities available for crime to happen are cumulatively higher in urban areas because of their widespread extent and high intensity of population. These very factors make the monitoring of crime in urban areas very difficult. With increasing urbanization, the crime rates increase proportionately. The nature and proportion of crime also changes according to the geographical conditions, seasons and structure of landscape. The geographic phenomenon plays an important role in influencing criminal behavior. Crime is influenced by geographic factors like climate, topography and natural resources. Crime is also influenced by the geographic location of a place in addition to being socio-culturally located. Increased crime rates play a decisive role in hindering the growth of a nation as a unit, especially in the case of developing countries like India. There is a strong need to monitor and analyze the crimes occurring across the country in addition to regulating them. Though the task of crime regulation is solely under the hands of the government, analysis of the crimes can be carried out in order to derive conclusions and suggest necessary actions and measures extracted from the analytical analysis of the data sets available. Such an analysis can play a significant role in helping the government in taking better actions for maintaining law and order in the nation. Crime and geography. Let us now study the relationship between incidents of crime and geography. Now, the interaction between crime and various spatial elements have been the subject matter of study in different times in geography. The role that geographical elements play as an important role in crime and its pattern have always interested geographers at various phases of pedagogical evolution of the subject. Ellsworth Huntington and various French, Italian and German criminologists have tried to show the relation between features of geographical elements and the proportion of crimes. Earliest determinists explained the role of various physical features and natural resources on spatial locations of various types of crime. In the evolution of geography, 1960s marked a revolution in the spatial study. Geographers concerned with crime studies analyze crime in its varied locations, being a social fact stated Durkheim in the year 1938 and occupying physical and social spaces stated Pierce in 1989. Geographers were identifying clusters of crime as delinquency areas, the reasons, factors for their location and characters that they have assumed. Regional variation of different types of crimes was the focal theme of studies. Models and concepts propounded during the time period were based on spatial activities of human beings, where they were considered as a rational actor who has perfect knowledge of world. With the rise of behavioral geography, persons' decisions and locational alternatives of crime became the focus of study. Spatial behavior and behavior in space got recognition as focal themes. Studies revolved around where criminals were situated as behavior in space related to the location of opportunities for crime. It presumed that the spatial structure of an area can be used to explain criminal behavior in space. In 1970, when the debate was on about place of people in regional science, then a popular issue which emerged was the place of people in geography of crime, evident in the writings of Evans and Herbert in 1989. There are two things to be noted here. First is the area where criminals are residing, and the second, the place where the crime is committed. Crime areas of particular types of crimes, depending on the favorable environment, were identified and studied. The emergence of humanistic geography brought a new phase in understanding of space, wherein place location in space is propagated as more than a territory to which people attach values. Postmodern thinkers also believe in analyzing spatial organization of social phenomena such as crime within the local socio-spatial imperatives in a specific context. Let's now understand the incidents of crime committed in India. A total of 72,29,193 cognizable crimes comprising of 28,51,563 Indian Penal Code, that is IPC crimes, and 4,37,730 special and local laws crimes were reported in the year 2014. There was an increase of 9% over the 2013 figures. During 2014, the IPC crime rate was 229.2 per lakh. There was an increase of about 14% from the previous year. SLL crimes rate increased by about 27% from 2013 to 2014. Percentage share of IPC cases in total cognizable crimes were 39.4% in 2014. From 2004 to 2014, the total crime rate including IPC and SLL, that is special and local laws, grew by 4.6%, whereas the increase in the total incidence of crime during the same time period was 19.9%. Compound growth rate per annum in the crime rate was 1.2%, whereas the increase in the incidence of total crime was 2.6%. There is a steady increase in the contribution of IPC crimes to the total cognizable crimes in the country from the year 2004 till 2014. The proportion has increased from 30.4% to 39.4%. As far as the crimes in Indian Penal Code are concerned, as stated earlier, a total of 28,51,563 incidents of total cognizable crimes under IPC were reported during the year 2014. Madhya Pradesh accounted for 9.6% of total IPC crimes reported in the country, followed by Maharashtra, that is 8.8%, Uttar Pradesh 8.4%, Rajasthan 7.4%. During the year 2013, Maharashtra ranked first and accounted for 8.9% of total IPC crimes and was followed by Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh, stating 8.6% each. On comparison of data of 2013 and 2014, an interesting fact is brought forth that the states of Andhra Pradesh 8.2% and Tamil Nadu 7.7%, which ranked high at third and fourth positions in the year 2013, showed a remarkable reduction in their contribution to the total Indian Penal Code crimes seen of the country. Their contribution now is 4.0% and 6.8% respectively. There seems to be a northward shift in the incidence of the crime under IPC. The more populous states of northern India now contribute a large share of the total cognizable crimes under IPC committed in the country. The only exception to this rule is the state of Kerala, which ranks 5th in the country. In the year 2014, Delhi reported the highest crime rate 767.4, followed by Kerala 585.3, Madhya Pradesh 358.5 and Haryana 298.2. Out of 29 states, 11 have a crime rate higher than the average state figure of 220.5. The states contribute 94.3% of the total incidence of cognizable crime committed under IPC in the year 2014. As regards crime committed under special and local laws, as stated earlier, in the year 2014, a total of 43,77,630 cognizable crimes were committed under special laws in the country. More than half of it was committed in a single state of Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh contributed a giant share of 54.7% to the total SLL crime. In the country, it was distantly followed by Kerala with 9.2%. Uttarakhand reported highest SLL crime rate of 1,640.6 in the country during the year 2014, followed by Kerala 1,142.2 and Chhattisgarh 1,127.1. Only 5 states have a higher crime rate under SLL than the average states. States contribute 99.7% of the total incidence of cognizable crimes under SLL. Let us now discuss in detail the regional imbalance of crime in India. Crime in nowhere evenly distributed amongst the states of any country. In India, some states contribute much higher than other states to the crime scenario of the country. It is widely understood that crime is a reflection and also an outcome or the fulfillment or non-fulfillment of the socio-economic aspirations of people. It is unevenly distributed amongst the states. Thus, regions of crimes in India cannot be understood in isolation. Their undeniable linkage with economic and social development of a place needs to be reinforced. For the purpose of understanding a regional distribution of crime in India, following analyses are undertaken. Categorization of Indian states into low, medium and high crime states analysis, ranking of states based on events of crime and socio-economic development measured through Human Development Index, that is HDI, of the states. Economic development and social development are mutually reinforcing. Disparities in economic development and social development are also mutually reinforcing states which are socially excluded, performing poor on social indicators, female-male ratio, literacy ratio, etc. are also economically marginalized. There exist several dimensions of economic and social disparities of development in the country. This is further reflected in the crime regionalization in the country. The most basic limitation of official crime statistics is that they only include crimes actually recorded by the police. There is a long chain of problematic decisions between possible crime and its registration by the police. The majority of crimes, especially petty thefts, are never reported to the police at all. Even in the case of violent crimes, more than 1/3 of the victims choose not to contact the police, claiming that it is a private affair they have dealt with themselves. As a result of partial reporting and partial recording of crimes, the official crime statistics reflect only a portion of overall offences. The agency entrusted with the task of accumulating, tabulating, analyzing crime data in the country is National Crime Research Bureau, that is NCRB. As stated earlier, crime in India is divided into IPC crimes and special and local laws crimes, that is SLL crimes. For understanding the regional imbalance of crimes in India, both types of events of crimes in states are taken together. A total of 72,29,193 crimes under various heads were committed in the country in the year 2014. It is apparent from the table that giant share, almost 37% of the total crime committed in the country is committed in the state of Uttar Pradesh alone. It is distantly followed by Kerala 8.44%, Tamil Nadu 6.98%, Gujarat 5.84% and Maharashtra 5.32%. The top 7 states in terms of events of cognizable crime committed in the country contribute almost 3/4 of the total crime incidences reported in the country. The states are divided into 4 categories based on the number of cognizable crimes committed. Very low incidence of crime, less than 10,000 events reported. Low incidence of crime between 10,000 to 1 lakh. Medium incidence of crime between 1 lakh and 4 lakh. High incidence of crime over 4 lakhs. Now, in the category of very low incidence of crime, that is less than 10,000 events reported, out of total states, 14 states belong to this category. The states in this category are almost all small states of the country. This region comprises of the union territories, 7 of the states from the northeast part of the country and Goa. This region is the one with very low incidence of reported crime. The region contributes only 0.59% of the total crime committed in the country. This is understandable because the population base of the region is also very small. Large part of the region is in the difficult terrain of the northeast part of the country and also area wise is a small region. In the category of low incidence of crime, that is between 10,000 to 1 lakh, 6 states belong to this category. They are Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Jharkhand, Punjab, Odisha and Assam. These 6 states contribute 4.84% of the total reported crimes in the country. This region is an amalgamation of some of the richest states of the India in terms of percentage of poor in the total population, like Punjab and also one of the poorest states of Odisha. Three, that is Punjab, Odisha and Assam, of the 6 states have a high contribution of agriculture as compared to manufacturing in the net state domestic product, that is NSDP. In the category of medium incidence of crime, that is between 1 lakh and 4 lakh, there are 12 states in this category. This region can be called the north central belt of crime in the country. Some of the biggest states like Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh belong to this category. These states contribute almost 35% of the total reported crimes committed in the country. But also true is the fact that their contribution in the total population is much higher than their contribution to the crime scene. In the category of high incidence of crime, that is over 4 lakhs events reported, there are 4 states in this category. The 4 huge contributors of the crime scenario of India are Uttar Pradesh, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Gujarat. These states contribute almost 58% of the total reported incidence of the crime in India. Whereas Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Gujarat are big states, Kerala, in spite of being a very small state, contribute a large share of crime in the country. Sociologists claim that certain socio-economic factors make certain population or areas to be more crime prone than others. For this region, poverty and poor population may be a factor for high crime incidence in Uttar Pradesh, but this explanation doesn't hold well in case of rich states like Kerala and Gujarat. The incidence of reported crimes is very unevenly distributed in our country. Whereas 16 states together contribute about 93% of the total reported crimes in this country, another 20 states contribute less than 6% of the total reported crimes in this country. Kerala has the highest person per capita income PPP $2,008, and the state also has the dubious distinction of one of the highest reported cases of cognizable crime only after Uttar Pradesh. Now let us understand the pattern of crime and socio-economic profile of states of India. A crucial measure of understanding the socio-economic performance of a state or country is HDI. Development is thought to be a roadblock for enhancement of crime. An attempt was made to understand whether the state's ranking on HDI inversely follow the ranking of crimes. Since HDI as a measure of development is most holistic in nature and takes into account different aspects like literacy, health and economic access, states with high HDI ranking should have low incidence of crime and vice versa. The first HDI in 1990 introduced a new way of measuring development by combining indicators of life expectancy, educational attainment and income into Composite Human Development Index, the HDI. The components are measured by 4 variables: GDP per capita, PPP USD, literary rates percentage, combined gross enrollment ratio and life expectancy at birth. The composite index results in figure between 0 and 1, of which 1 indicates high level of human development and 0 being no level of human development. The major states are distributed between the categories of countries with medium and low human development. As per the HDR 2014 classification, Kerala with a global HDI of 0.625 is in medium HDI category. Other major states in this group are Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Haryana, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Gujarat, West Bengal and Uttarakhand. 9 other states, namely Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Bihar and Orissa falls in the low HDI category. In India, there seems to be no interlinkage between HDI rankings and the rankings based on incidence of crime committed in the states. Kerala is an unexplained case where most of the socio-economic indicators show high performance, but the state also ranks in the second highest in the incidence of crime after Uttar Pradesh, as well as in the rate of cognizable crimes after Delhi Union Territory. There are other states too, like Odisha, where HDI is low and so is crime rate as well as incidence. But then poverty and social indicators are not the only factors affecting crime. There are crimes of deprivation and then there are crimes of abundance too. The states with high income levels like Kerala, where state exchequer has abundance of money sent by people of the state staying working abroad is high. States where urbanization levels are high like Tamil Nadu, Gujarat also tend to show high incidence of crimes. To conclude, police departments, city officials and policy makers all recognize the importance of a better understanding of the dynamics of crime. Both theoretical and applied approaches and combinations of the two, which provide insight into why and where crime takes place, are much in demand. Macro level analysis helps to identify problems, neighborhoods. Micro level analysis helps to isolate precise trouble spots within neighborhoods, and as a result allows for better evaluation of crime and specific socio-economic, demographic, land use and environmental characteristics associated with these trouble spots. Developing an understanding of social disorganization model, Sheffield School, etc. would help the students of this module. Thank you.